Hi everyone, my name is Star, and today I'll be talking to you guys about how I got diagnosed with autism and intellectual disability. Not once, but twice. So before I get started, I would like to explain what both of these disabilities are, basically. So a lot of people know somewhat about what autism is, which I'll just break it down pretty simply. Autism spectrum disorder is a neurological disorder that mainly impairs social ability and ability to do daily tasks, reading, writing, doing math, and it also impairs your ability to control your voice tone. Some people with autism spectrum disorder talk really quietly, others talk really, really loud and naturally, like myself. Mainly because a lot of us have auditory processing issues. For me, I could hear other sounds around me really, really well, but when it comes to my own voice, I can't hear my own voice at all. So I have to speak really loud in order to be able to process what I am trying to say to people. That's why my voice is naturally animated and very loud. I do experience some symptoms of autism that are more uncommon, but are stereotyped as very common symptoms, such as a lack of empathy. I do have that symptom, but it's not so much having lack of empathy for me. I just don't know how to show that I care for someone. I don't know how to comfort people, basically. So it may seem like I have lack of empathy, which yes, I do have that to a certain extent, but I am also hyper empathetic to people sometimes too, if that makes sense. I'm hypo empathetic and hyper empathetic at the same time, basically. So yeah, autism spectrum disorder is mainly a disorder that impairs your social abilities and your learning abilities, and that's pretty much all that it is. It's nothing bad. It's just a pain in the ass to deal with sometimes. So yeah, that's what autism spectrum disorder is. Now I will get into what intellectual disability is. Intellectual disability used to be known as mental retardation. A lot of doctors still refer to it as that to people, which I think they should not, because it's already an outdated term and it's politically incorrect. But anyway, what is intellectual disability? Intellectual disability is basically a disability to where your IQ is a little bit lower than the average person. It impairs your speech. Much similar to autism, it also impairs your motor skills. A lot of people with intellectual disability typically have lower muscle tone because a lot of us can't take care of ourselves very easily. It impairs my reading, my writing, not just my vision, but also my intellectual disability does that too. For me, I can't really do almost anything regarding reading and writing without assistance. Intellectual disability can also impair someone's ability to feel hungry, thirsty, or sick. I have that to a very severe degree. Like, I literally cannot tell if I'm thirsty. At one point, it was so bad that one time I almost had heat stroke because of my intellectual disability, because I could not feel that I was thirsty. I literally have to be reminded to take care of myself, because if someone doesn't, or I don't have my alarms on my phone, that could actually be a very huge health risk for me. So basically, intellectual disability impairs my ability to react to things. It impairs my learning abilities. Intellectual disability impairs my ability to cook and clean. It impairs my ability to speak properly, so I can't speak as well as most people my age. You may not notice it, but I do have several speech impairments caused by intellectual disability. I sometimes switch up the M and N in words such as milk, me, no, snack, smack. Those are just a few examples. My speech impairments have gotten a lot better, but whenever I'm highly stressed, they come out more when I'm highly stressed out, or if I say something way too fast. And intellectual disability can actually put me at high risk for experiencing manic episodes. So I have that. I experience manic episodes as well. Intellectual disability can also overlap with other medical conditions as well, such as anxiety tics, ADHD, ADD, autism, bipolar disorder, BPD, and those are all the conditions that I know some of the symptoms do overlap with. Oh yeah, and DMDD as well. Intellectual disability can also have symptoms such as extreme mood swings, depression, and anxiety, which is what I have. The mood swings for me used to be so severe. Like when I was a kid, I would always throw things against the wall. I've broken chairs and shit. It was bad, dude. But luckily, with the right medication and therapy, I'm able to manage my emotions much better. My doctors suspect I might have another thing that's causing my manic episodes. They know that intellectual disability is a pretty big part of my mood swings, but they suspect it might be something else on top of that as well, which I wouldn't be surprised because my family's mental health history is not very good, and that's all I'm gonna say. We have really bad genetics in my family, which is why if I ever have kids, it's not likely I will because of my intellectual disability. Like, if I ever have kids, I don't want to reproduce a genetic copy of me. I don't want to put a child through what I've been through. So that's why I'm going to probably, adopt. I'm probably going to, become a foster parent. Foster other kids with disabilities who didn't have very good homes, because I am very lucky compared to most people with intellectual disability. A lot of people with intellectual disability get abused horribly. The majority of us actually do get abused very, very badly. I am very, very fortunate to definitely not be part of that statistic, because 1 out of every 2 intellectually disabled people get sexually assaulted every 15 seconds, I think. And it's horrible to think about. That's why a common thing with intellectual disabilities is that a lot of us tend to trust people way too easily. And I unfortunately am one of those people with intellectual disability who will pretty much, within 5 minutes of meeting someone, I will consider them my best friend, basically, if I like them. And that could be very dangerous for me, because you don't know because that person could be a predator or be a bad person who wants to steal stuff from you and stuff. But anyway, yeah, intellectual disabilities, basically trusting way too easily, unable to take care of oneself, and also impaired ability to judge people, to be able to tell if someone's a good person or a bad person. My judgment when it comes to that is severely impaired. The only way that I know if they're a bad or a good person is, I've researched common phrases that bad people use to lure vulnerable people in, and now I have almost all of them memorized. So if they say specific phrases, that's how I know I should stay away from them, basically, and that's the only way I will know. Because I can't read facial expressions because of my vision and learning disabilities, and I also can't read voice tone very well either, so specific phrases is the only way I'm able to tell if there's a red flag or not. If someone were to sorry, I hiccuped. If someone were to take advantage of me. Sorry guys, it stopped recording, but anyway. If someone were to take advantage of me, there's a extremely high chance that I will not know until it's too late. And that has happened to me multiple times. I've been manipulated so many times that I know that I have, because I found out way too late by the end of bad situations that's happened to me. If you guys want to know what I'm talking about, check out my experience with bullying video. That's a pretty good example of how I didn't realize I was being emotionally manipulated until it was too late, basically. And another symptom of intellectual disability is impulsive lying. Unfortunately, I have that to such a severe degree that it's pretty much a verbal tic for me. It is so bad to the point where, like, I accidentally impulsively lie to myself, too. It is so bad. But anyway, yeah. I think I've covered all the symptoms that I experience. If you guys want to know more about it, I'd highly recommend looking at the CDC, looking at the Mental Health of America. I would also highly recommend the American Psychiatric Association as well, the DSM, all of the things, you know. I highly recommend giving it a read, because intellectual disability is basically a learning disability that has characteristics of pretty much all the other learning disabilities smushed into one giant learning disability, and also low IQ as well. Fun fact, IQ does not equal intelligence. IQ is mainly the maturity of someone, ability to basically follow directions, and yes, there is learning abilities involved too, but it also involves memory as well. Short-term memory for me is not very good, which is very common among intellectually disabled people. But now we're going to talk about how I got diagnosed. The first time I got diagnosed, I was a child. I think I was a baby, to be honest. But then at like 6 or 7 years old, they removed the diagnoses because my vision impacted the scores, which was not the case. And so I went around my whole life not knowing I was intellectually disabled or autistic. I just thought I was illegally blind. I thought that was the only medical issue I had to worry about. But one day, like 1 year, I've noticed there was something off about me. I've noticed that most people aren't sensitive to loud noises like I was. And I've also noticed that people automatically understood each other of what they were saying. But me, I never understood people. Unless they just so happen to be neurodivergent too. I've noticed that people were able to groom themselves properly and like take care of themselves properly. Me, I can barely shower or brush my hair and do my makeup at all. People were able to read and write without needing assistance. Me, I misspell things so horribly that most of my teachers could not read what I was trying to write down. So instead, I had to type all of my assignments. Also, ignore the chirping in the background. We have, I think it's like 29 chicks that we have or something like that. I don't know. It's like a big ass box full of them. But anyway, another thing that I've noticed was I have panic attacks whenever I try to do math, read, or write on my own. I can't read or write or do math on my own because if I do, it could trigger a meltdown. At the time, I thought I was having panic attacks, but meltdowns and panic attacks are two different things. Although the symptoms are almost identical, they are two different things. Panic attacks are usually triggered whenever you feel threatened, or like something triggers you, like a reminder of a traumatic event, or if you've been highly stressed. Meltdowns can be triggered by high stress, too much sensory input, eating a food or drink you don't like, being confused, or like not, or like touching a texture you don't like. Those are the two differences. Actually, not two differences, but more than two. Well, you get the idea. But yeah, so like at 15, I basically went to a psychiatrist, and they tested me. They asked me some weird questions. Some of them involved questions like, are noises around you hard for you to handle? And I'm like, yeah, doesn't everyone else have that problem? And then like I answered all the questions honestly, and then afterwards they're like, oh, you are definitely autistic and intellectually disabled. And at the time I didn't know what autism or intellectual disability was, so I'm like, what's that mean? And the doctor did a pretty good job explaining to me what it meant. My parents explained it to me as well. And I remember just being so angry. Like, why did the school system remove these diagnoses? I don't know. I was like so mad. I'm like, why did they remove these diagnoses? I know I have these. I had so much trouble learning in school, and they removed them and made my life harder. But like, I think there is one other reason why I got undiagnosed and then re-diagnosed. I think it's because I might have done what is a behavior that is called masking. And what masking is that people with learning disabilities sometimes basically pretend to be neurotypical. So basically they become really, really good at being neurotypical passing. And I am barely considered neurotypical passing, pretty much. The only thing that really gave away the fact that I'm autistic or intellectually disabled, in my personal opinion, I think it's the amount of obsessions I have. I think that might have been what has given it away. Oh yeah, and also my behavior, history, and also inability to socialize as well. But yeah. So after I got diagnosed, I remember just like being like, why did I not know about this until like way later in life? And looking back on it, I honestly wish that the school did not remove my autism and intellectual disability diagnosis, because like when they did that, I lost years of my life because of their decision. I feel like I've lost so many years of my life because I was undiagnosed with these things. And I'll never get those years back. So, what I think should change in the education system is they shouldn't be allowed to remove disability diagnoses, because I think that is not up to them. That is up for their parents and their doctors and their psychiatrists or psychologists or whoever the hell diagnosed them. Actually, parents can't diagnose them unless they're psychiatrists or like psychologists or a therapist or a doctor. But like, it is not up to an average Joe to diagnose people. It is up for medical professionals only. It should not be up to the school system. It should be up to medical professionals only, and strictly only medical professionals. But anyway, guys. Alright, that's it for today, guys. My name is Star. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And down below in the description, there is social media down below. Follow me on them. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, and Twitch. So I stream on Twitch once a week and all that. And I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.